Hello. Welcome back to the Story Corner. Thanks for stopping by. Unless you're new, then thanks for coming for the first time. Oh, hi. You want to come say hi? He has made so many messes today. He found the cupcake papers. They're in a big, tall drawer, but he's tall and he learned how to open it and get into it, and he can reach deep. Yeah, he gets into stuff. And then he loves the fridge. If ever I get anything out of the fridge, he runs in and starts pulling stuff out. And he got the soy sauce and then dropped it, and the bottle broke. So then there's glass everywhere, and it was more than half full. So soy sauce everywhere. It's under the couch. I have to move the couch to clean it. It took quarter of a roll of paper towels just to soak it all up. It stinks so bad. And I like soy sauce, but not on my kitchen floor. He's a mess maker. You're a handful. Plus we were up all night. So. It's rough. Yeah, it's rough. Okay. So before we get started, I like to do my thing, and I always ask, what did you have for dinner? Just for fun. And if you haven't had dinner yet, depending on where you are and what time this is, what are you going to have for dinner? I made rice with like a white country gravy with hamburger in it. So it was rice and hamburger, white hamburger gravy. It was good. And then I did baked summer squash with cheese and pineapple, and then a fresh veggie salad with Italian dressing. So it was tomatoes and onions and cucumbers, with the seasoning and Italian dressing. It was so good. And then I made the yummiest cookies that I've never made before. So I have this recipe that it calls for instant pudding in the cookies. And my children, the people who know, they're the best cookies. And usually I put chocolate chips and white chocolate chips and butterscotch chips and toffee bits and stuff in them, so they're crunchy and they have all these different flavor. They're so good. But I wanted lemon cookies, so I put lemon pudding instead of vanilla pudding, and then lemon flavoring in the cookie dough, and then just did white chocolate chips, so they were white chocolate and lemon. And they were so dang good. I ate 3 of them, and they were pretty big cookies, but. Well, I ate 2, and then later I ate 1. I didn't pig down 3 cookies all at once, but they were yummy. Anyway, so that's what we did for dinner. And then, Kaden, what did you do? Then I'm going to show off some of the things. Bring it to me. Bring it into me now. So then I'm going to show off some of my cute stuff that I made, just for fun, just because I like to show it off because it's cute, and why not? Here's a place to do it. So I love sunflowers. They're kind of my thing. So look at these cute sunflower earrings. So they have the brown glitter to match the brown center on the sunflowers, right? And then the cute little sunflowers in them, so you can kind of see. So they have the teardrop shape. So cute. I love those ones. All right. Oh, so you just look at this number and you write that many X's. So if it's a 6, then you put 6 X's.
I thought I was studying.
We did not finish school earlier because I got busy doing some other stuff. So here I am being a bad mother and making her finish her last few pages at 9 o'clock. It's homework. Okay. And then yesterday I showed you the cute little, they were supposed to be purple, the gummy bear earrings, but they looked more like they were black. Well, here's some yellow ones, and these look more like gummy bears, right? Aren't those cute? They're on the black background, so it's kind of hard to see, but they're really bright, cute yellow. Oh, come on. Really straight. There you go. See how cute those are, those cute little yellow gummy bear earrings. And then, where'd they go? I thought I had another one I was going to show off. Where did they go, baby? What did you do? Did you chuck them or something? He's such a handful. Oh, you're just going to empty my wallet, are you? Oh, here they are. These ones are kind of fun. They have the cute it's stuck, metal frame, but then they have the clay. So I've done the polymer clay inside. So the roses are 3D clay roses. And then I know it's kind of hard to tell, but the background is a blue, green, white swirl like design behind them. You know, the lighting's not good, quality's not great, but they're really cute. Cute earrings. Okay, showing off the stuff I made. And then the reading. So yesterday I read the one chapter, and then, you know, I just read one and it wasn't super long, and I was trying to decide whether to do the other one. And so I started reading it, but he got so grumpy and sad, and he was so tired. So I just stopped partway through. And so I'm going to pick up, but I'll go back a little bit. But I did read part of the chapter, so I'll just kind of do a little bit of a recap, and we'll just go from there. Oh, my goodness. You're such a handful. You're just going to, look, he's got all my credit cards. Look at this. Little helper. Yeah. Okay. Here, are you going to put him back in? Going to put him back in. He loves to empty my wallet. In fact, he emptied out my wallet. And
Look at these gold gummy bears.
Cute, huh? We went into the store, and I went to buy something, and all my cards were gone out of my wallet. He had emptied it. It was very embarrassing.
This.
I think you already showed that one off. Oh, and the dragon. Okay. All right, that was weird. Okay. Oh. Such a grandmother. Okay, hey, wow, that's really loud. You probably, if anybody had headphones on, you probably blasted their eardrums out with that. That was way too loud. Okay, so when, all right, enough. Now listen, now he's copying you, making that same squeal. Whenever she gets squealy and noisy, then he'll copy her. That's him. Can you hear that? So high, so squeaky. Okay, so where we were is they went to a garden. Okay, it's enough. They went to a garden place where you walk and what was it they were doing? Oh, they were watching the fireworks. So the women all stood up on this little platform thing so they could have a view of the fireworks, and then there's kind of like a bad explosion, and the sparks went everywhere, like something went wrong. And so they all jumped down and ran back because they were being showered with sparks, and Evelina ran faster than everybody else, and when she turned around, they were all gone. And so then all these people, because she's gorgeous and she's so pretty, so of course all the men are like, hey, you're a pretty little thing, so she was being accosted by all these creepy guys. And then these two horrible women, she's like, she just ran up to them because she thought, well, if I'm in the company of these older women, then, the men will stop approaching me. And then they ended up being horrible women. So then she was with them, so it wasn't much better. Or any better, really. And so then she finally met up with the rest of her party, but these weird old ladies just decided to join them, and they took a hold of Mr. Brown, and they've got a hold of him, and they're just marching him along, and he's stressed out. So that's kind of where we are. Excuse my voice. I feel like I'm losing it. I sound like a frog. I'm sorry if I sound like a frog, but we'll do the best we can. Okay. It would be very difficult to say which was greatest, my fright or Mr. Brown's consternation, who ventured not to make the least resistance, though his uneasiness made him tremble almost as much as myself. I would instantly have withdrawn my arm, but it was held so tight I could not move it, and poor Mr. Brown was circumstanced in the same manner on the other side, for I heard him say, "Ma'am, there's no need to squeeze one's arm so." And this was our situation, for we had not taken 3 steps when, oh, sir, we again met Lord Orville. But not again did he pass quietly by us. Unhappily, I caught his eye. Both mine immediately were bent to the ground, but he approached me, and we all stopped. I then looked up. He bowed. Good heaven! With what expressive eyes did he regard me! Never were surprise and concern so strongly marked. Yes, my dear sir, he looked greatly concerned, and the remembrance of that, is the only consolation I feel for an evening the most painful of my life. What he first said I know not, for indeed I seem to have neither ears nor understanding, but I recollect that I only curtsied in silence. Well, isn't that lovely? He paused for an instant, as if, I believe, Sorry, I jumped to the next line. He paused for an instant, as if I believe so, as if unwilling to pass on, and then, finding the whole party detained, he again bowed and took leave. Indeed, my dear sir, I thought I should have fainted, so great was my emotion from shame, vexation, and 1,000 other feelings, for which I have no expressions. I absolutely Too noisy. I absolutely tore myself from the woman's arm, and then, disengaging myself from that of Mr. Brown, I went to Madame Duval and besought that she would not suffer me to be again parted from her. I fancy that Lord Orville saw what passed, for scarcely was I at liberty ere he returned. Methought, my dear sir, the pleasure, the surprise of that moment recompensed me for all the chagrin I had before felt. For do you not think that this return manifests from a character so quiet, so reserved as Lord Orville's, something like solicitude in my concerns? Such at least was the interpretation I involuntarily made upon again seeing him. With the politeness to which I had been some time very little used, he apologized for returning, and then inquired after the health of Miss Mervyn and the rest of the Howard Grove family. The flattering conjecture which I have just acknowledged had so wonderfully restored my spirits that I believe I never answered him so readily and with so little constraint. Very short, however, was the duration.
Spider-Man.
It's your Spider-Man jammas that are way too little.
No. It's a real Spider-Man.
Sure. Was the duration of this conversation, for we were soon most disagreeably interrupted. The Miss Branghtons, though they saw almost immediately the characters of the women to whom I had so unfortunately applied, were nevertheless so weak and foolish as merely to titter at their behaviour. As to Madame Duval, she was for some time so strangely imposed upon that she thought they were two real fine ladies. Indeed, it is wonderful to see how easily and how frequently she is deceived. Our disturbance, however, arose from young Brown, who was now between the two women, by whom his arms were absolutely pinioned to his sides. For a few minutes his complaints had been only murmured, but he now called out aloud, "Goodness, ladies, you hurt me like anything. Why, I can't walk at all if you keep pinching my arms so." This speech raised a loud laugh in the women, and redoubled the tittering of the Miss Branghtons. For my own part, I was most cruelly confused, while the countenance of Lord Orville manifested a sort of indignant astonishment. And from that moment he spoke to me no more till he took leave. Madame Duval, who now Calissa, don't be noisy, sis. Madame Duval, who now began to suspect her company, proposed our taking the first box we saw empty, bespeaking a supper, and waiting till Mr. Brangton should find us. Miss Polly mentioned one she had remarked, to which we all turned. Madame Duval instantly seated herself, and the two bold women, forcing the frightened Mr. Brown to go between them, followed her example. Lord Orville, with an air of gravity that wounded my very soul, then wished me good night. I said not a word, but my face, if it had any connection with my heart, must have looked melancholy indeed, and so I have some reason to believe it did. For he added with much more softness, though not less dignity, "Will Miss Anville allow me to ask her address, and to pay my respects to her before I leave town?" Oh, how I changed colour at this unexpected request. Calissa, shh. Yet what was the mortification I suffered in answering, "My lord, I am in Holborn." He then bowed and left us. So she's embarrassed because she's in a really crappy part of town. What can he think of this adventure? How strangely, how cruelly have all appearances turned against me. Had I been blessed with any presence of mind, I should instantly have explained to him the accident which occasioned my being in such terrible company. But I have none. As to the rest of the evening, I cannot relate the particulars of what passed, for to you I only write of what I think, and I can think of nothing but this unfortunate, this disgraceful meeting. These two wretched women continued to torment us all, but especially poor Mr. Brown, who seemed to afford them uncommon diversion, till we were discovered by Mr. Brangton, who very soon found means to release us from their persecutions by frightening them away. We stayed but a short time after they left us, which was all employed in explanations. Whatever may be the construction which Lord Orville may put upon this affair, to me it cannot fail of being unfavourable. To be seen, gracious heaven, to be seen in company with two women of such character, how vainly, how proudly have I wished to avoid meeting him when only with the Braintons and Madame Duval. But now how joyful should I be had he seen me to me no greater disadvantage. Holborn, too, what a direction! He who had always... But I will not torment you, my dearest sir, with any more of my mortifying conjectures and apprehensions. Perhaps he may call, and then I shall have an opportunity of explaining to him all the most shocking part of the adventure. And yet, as I did not tell him at whose house I lived, he may not be able to discover me. I merely said in Holborn, and he, who I suppose saw my embarrassment, forbore to ask any other direction. Well, I must take my chance. Yet let me, in justice to Lord Orville, and in justice to the high opinion I have always entertained of his honour and delicacy, let me observe the difference of his behaviour when nearly in the same situation to that of Sir Clement Willoughby. He had at least equal cause to depreciate me in his opinion, and to mortify and sink me in my own, but far different was his conduct. Perplexed indeed he looked, and much surprised. But it was benevolently, not with insolence. I am even inclined to think that he could not see a young creature whom he had so lately known in a higher sphere appear so suddenly, so strangely, so disgracefully altered in his situation, without some pity and concern. But whatever might be his doubts and suspicions, far from suffering them to influence his behaviour, he spoke, he looked with the same politeness and attention with which he had always honoured me when countenanced by Mrs. Mervyn. Once again, let me drop this subject. In every mortification, every disturbance, how grateful to my heart, how sweet to my recollection is the certainty of your never-failing tenderness, sympathy, and protection. Oh, sir, could I upon this subject, could I write as I feel, how animated would be the language of your devoted Evelina. Excuse me. Letter 22, Evelina to the Reverend... to the Reverend Mr. Villars, Holborn, July 1st. Listless, uneasy, and without either spirit or courage to employ myself from the time I had finished my last letter, I indolently seated myself at the window, where, while I waited Madame Duval's summons to breakfast, I perceived among the carriages which passed by a coronet coach, and in a few minutes, from the window of it, Lord Orville. I instantly retreated, but not, I believe, unseen, for the coach immediately drove up to our door. Indeed, my dear sir, I must own I was greatly agitated. The idea of receiving Lord Orville by myself, the knowledge that his visit was entirely to me, the wish of explaining the unfortunate adventure of yesterday, and the mortification of my present circumstances, all these thoughts occurring to me nearly at the same time, occasioned me more anxiety, confusion, and perplexity than I can possibly express. I believe he meant to send up his name, but the maid, unused to such a ceremony, forgot it by the way, and only told me that a great lord was below and desired to see me, and the next moment he appeared himself. If formerly, when in the circle of high life and accustomed to its manners, I so much admired and distinguished the grace, the elegance of Lord Orville, think, sir, how they must strike me now. Now, when far removed from that splendid circle, I live with those to whom even civility is unknown, and decorum a stranger. I am sure I received him very awkwardly, depressed by a situation so disagreeable. Could I do otherwise? When his first enquiries were made, I think myself very fortunate, he said, in meeting with Miss Anville at home, and still more so in finding her disengaged. I only curtsied. He then talked of Mrs. Mervyn, asked how long I had been in town, and other such general questions, which happily gave me time to recover from my embarrassment. After which he said, if Miss Anville will allow me the honour of sitting by her a few minutes, for we were both standing. Hey, that's too noisy.
Hey, this is a music video.
Would you go? There's a cup of ice water in the kitchen. Will you go get it? Bring it to me. My throat's really... Oh, you're so noisy, Kaden. It's too loud. It's too loud. Are you drinking my water? Here. I'm so thirsty.
I drank her water.
I'm gonna go fill it up again for me. Oh, here, want some. Here, that one's all gone. You want some of this one? Go fill that one up for me. This is yesterday's one. Oh, you just put your hands in my cup. Gross. Okay, now go dump it out. Get me some ice and water because I am thirsty. Oh, this is scary. Oh my goodness. Sorry for all the distractions. This is a mama reading with little kitties running around. Okay. If Miss Anville will allow me the honour of sitting by her a few minutes, for we were both standing, I will venture to tell her the motive which, next to inquiring after her health, has prompted me to wait on her thus early. We were both seated, and after a short pause he said, "How to apologize for so great a liberty as I am upon the point of taking, I know not."
It has water in it. It has a ton of ice. Yeah, when I put it up close, it kind of got me wet.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for all your great sacrifices to bring me water. You're amazing. No, I was super thirsty. Thank you. Okay. I keep having to go back and reread the same stuff. How to apologize for so great a liberty as I am upon the point of taking, I know not. Shall I, therefore, rely wholly upon your goodness, and not apologize at all? I only bowed. I should be extremely sorry to appear impertinent, yet hardly know how to avoid it. Impertinent! Oh, my lord, cried I eagerly, that, I am sure, is impossible. You are very good, answered he, and encouraged me to be ingenuous. Again he stopped, but my expectation was too great for speech. At last, without looking at me, in a low voice and hesitating manner, he said, "Were those ladies with whom I saw you last night ever in your company before?" "No, my lord," cried I, rising and colouring violently, "nor will they ever be again." He rose too, and with an air of the most condescending concern said, "Pardon, madame, the abruptness of a question which I knew not how to introduce as I ought, and for which I have no excuse to offer but my respect for Mrs. Mervyn, joined to the sincerest wishes for your happiness. Yet I fear I have gone too far." "I am very sensible of the honour of your lordship's attention," said I, "but—" "Permit me to assure you," cried he, finding I hesitated, "that officiousness is not my characteristic, and that I would by no means have risked your displeasure, had I not been fully satisfied you were too generous to be offended without a real cause of offence." Okay, don't distract from my story.
Hey, but they can still hear.
Okay, "Offended," cried I. "No, my lord, I am only grieved indeed, to find myself in a situation so unfortunate as to be obliged to make explanations which cannot but mortify and shock me." "It is I alone," cried he, with some eagerness, "who am shocked. It is I who deserve to be mortified. I seek no explanation, for I have no doubt but in mistaking me, Miss Anville injures herself. Allow me, therefore, frankly and openly to tell you the intention of my visit." I bowed, and we both returned to our seats. "I will own myself to have been greatly surprised," continued he, "when I met you yesterday evening in company with two persons who I was sensible merited not the honour of your notice, nor was it easy for me to conjecture the cause of your being so situated. Yet, believe me, my incertitude did not for a moment do you injury. I was satisfied that their character must be unknown to you, and I thought with concern of the shock you would sustain when you discovered their unworthiness. I should not, however, upon so short an acquaintance, have usurped the privilege of intimacy. Calista, don't.
What came through got the pages.
Okay. I should not, however, upon so short an acquaintance, have usurped the privilege of intimacy in giving my unmasked sentiments upon so delicate a subject, had I not known that credulity is the sister of innocence, and therefore feared you might be deceived. A something which I could not resist urged me to the freedom I have taken to caution you, but I shall not easily forgive myself if I have been so unfortunate as to give you pain. The pride which his first question had excited now subsided into delight and gratitude, and I instantly related to him, as well as I could, the accident which had occasioned my joining the unhappy women with whom he had met me. He listened with an attention so flattering, seemed so much interested during the recital, and when I had done, thanked me in terms so polite for what he was pleased to call my condescension, that I was almost ashamed either to look at or hear him. Soon after, the maid came to tell me that Madame Duval desired to have breakfast made in her own room. I fear, cried Lord Orville, instantly rising, that I have intruded upon your time, yet who, so situated, could do otherwise? Then, taking my hand, will Miss Anville allow me thus to seal my peace? He pressed it to his lips and took leave. Generous, noble Lord Orville! How disinterested his conduct! How delicate his whole behaviour! Willing to advise, yet afraid to wound me. Can I ever in future regret the adventure I met with at Maybourne, since it has been productive of a visit so flattering? Had my mortifications been still more humiliating, my terrors still more alarming, such a mark of esteem, may I not call it so, from Lord Orville, would have made me ample amends. And indeed, my dear sir, I require some consolation in my present very disagreeable situation. For, since he went, 2 incidents have happened that, had not my spirits been particularly elated, would greatly have disconcerted me. During breakfast, Madame Duval very abruptly asked if I should like to be married, and then added that Mr. Brankton had been proposing a match for me with his son. Surprised, and I must own provoked, I assured her that in thinking of me, Mr. Brankton would very vainly lose his time. Why, cried she, I have had grander views for you myself. If once I could get you to Paris and make you be owned, but if I can't do that, and you can do no better, why, as you are both my relations, I think to leave my fortune between you, and then if you marry, you never need want for nothing. I begged her not to pursue the subject, as, I assured her, Mr. Brankton was totally disagreeable to me, but she continued her admonitions and reflections with her usual disregard of whatever I could answer. She charged me very peremptorily neither wholly to discourage nor yet to accept Mr. Brankton's offer, till she saw what could be done for me. The young man, she added, had often intended to speak to me himself, but not well knowing how to introduce the subject, he had desired her to pave the way for him. I scrupled not, warmly and freely, to declare my aversion to this proposal, but it was to no effect. She concluded, just as she had begun, by saying that I should not have him if I could do better. Nothing, however, shall persuade me to listen to any other person concerning this odious affair. My second cause of uneasiness arises very unexpectedly from Monsieur Dubois, who, to my infinite surprise, upon Madame Duval's quitting the room after dinner, put into my hand a note and immediately left the house. This note contains an open declaration of an attachment to me, which, he says, he should never have presumed to have acknowledged had he not been informed that Madame Duval destined my hand to young Brankton, a match which he cannot endure to think of. He beseeches me earnestly to pardon his temerity, professes the most inviolable respect, and commits his fate to time, patience, and pity. This conduct in Monsieur Dubois gives me real concern, as I was disposed to think very well of him. It will not, however, be difficult to discourage him, and therefore I shall not acquaint Madame Duval of his letter, as I have reason to believe it would greatly displease her. Poor girl. That's the end of that one. Imagine being so beautiful that the men are falling at your feet everywhere you go. You know, I know that a lot of women want that kind of beauty, but it would suck. You know? I'm kind of glad I was never just this hot, gorgeous chick that everybody was falling all over, you know. Comes with a lot of problems. I'm just grateful to be plain old simple me. I mean, it would have been okay if I was a little bit cuter, but yeah, oh well. All right, well, that is 1.5 chapters because I just finished that one, but that's about right for time. And if you enjoyed the story, if you're enjoying the videos, leave a like. That does help. And we will see you next time, hopefully tomorrow. Pretty sure I'll be here tomorrow, but I don't know if you will be. But we'll catch you later. Thanks for stopping by the Story Corner to hear story time with the Story Lady. That's me. Goodbye.